Hello, my name's Fran. Welcome to MyBoxingCoach. I'm not a golfer. Let's start with that. However, something happened to me a couple of years ago and it taught me 3 really big lessons, and I want to go through those lessons with you today. Now, this is golf related, but it's very much boxing related as well. And in fact, there's a bigger lesson to learn here about everything you do. So stick with this video. Before we get started, why don't you download your book, The Beginner Boxer Toolkit. There's a link down below. 64 pages, great information in there. How to set up your own home gym, how to set up your training regime, 5 ways to get the most out of a heavy bag, 7 tips for improving your speed. Build out the 10 core skills with links to all of those skills videos. It's an amazing resource that you will use, be it for boxing fitness or be it for competition. Link down below, or there will be a link at the end of the video. Okay, now look, I've got no history of golf. Well, tell a lie. When I was a kid, my bedroom window in my mum's house looks out over Bootle Municipal Golf Course. For those Red Dwarf fans, Lister does mention Bootle Municipal Golf Course. But yeah, and you know, so it was sort of my playground as a kid. Most of the time we were trying to find golf balls to sell to the golfers, or we were playing soldiers because it was a great area to mess around in. But occasionally we'd hit a golf ball, but you know, it was a playground for us, and this is a very long time ago. So, and I've never taken up golf. I've never played it. You know, the last time I hit a ball must have been 15 or 16. Not my thing. I don't mind watching it, but I'll watch pretty much any sport. A few years ago, my lovely sister-in-law came home, and she came home from Australia for a visit. And to keep her entertained, I said, "Come on, we'll go down to the driving range." There's a driving range at Aintree. Aintree is it's actually on the race course where the Grand National is run, pretty close to my house. So I take Ange down, and we get to the driving range, and we pick up some clubs. I got a 7-iron, which this happens to be. This is not my club, by the way, and it's not for self-defense purposes. It's a club that was lent to me by my mate John, who's a pretty avid golfer. But I told him I wanted to do this video, so he kindly lent me a club. So thanks, John. So I pick up 7-iron, I pick up a 3-wood, and I get 100 balls. Now, it has to be said, I had really low expectations of myself. And once I got hitting, effectively it was anyone's guess where the ball was going to go. You know, I'd hit it, and it'd go spearing off that way, and never raise more than 6 inches off the ground and go about 40 yards. Or I'd hit it and it'd melt off to the right, so much so that you kind of thought if it kept going, it could have come round and hit me in the back of the head. Just appalling. So I'd set these really low expectations, and I was failing to even meet those. Now, I'd say 2 out of 10 of the balls that I'm hitting are going roughly down the middle. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm awful at this. Then there was a moment. Now, Ange, you see, the difference between Ange and I is that Ange has a massive passion for golf. She loves it. So much so that she spends a lot of time doing it. She's paid for lessons from the club pro. So she's got this knowledge, she's got this understanding. And she gave me 5 tips. And she delivered them in a really concise and sensible way. You know, things like, Fran, your feet need to be parallel. And the line going from your toe to your toe is the line where the ball's going to go. So as soon as people start talking about feet, you know what I mean. If you've watched my videos, I'm all about feet. Okay, so that's a golf stance. So boxing stance, you know, we still have lines, but we have a line going from the toe on the front foot to the heel on the back foot, and that provides us our stability. So right now I'm comfortable. I'm getting clear, defined advice. Next she says, So the club, the end of the club should be a spread hands width away from your stomach. Again, this is fascinating. Everything's getting set up and it feels like it's relevant. It feels like it's relevant to me because the spread hand, my spread hand is the right side of my weird little sort of goblin-like Lord of the Rings shape, you know, short but everything should be in proportion. She said, for if you're going to use a driver, this is a 7-iron, if you're going to use a driver, the ball would be here. So you'd start there. Difference being a driver's longer than this, so that kind of makes sense. If you're going to use a club, the ball should be central when you're about to hit. Again, great little insight. Different club if you're going to use a driver, ball position there. If you're going to use an iron, ball position there. Fascinating. And then the final one, during the swing, your backside needs to protrude as much as possible. She didn't even talk to me about grip. Backside needs to protrude as much as possible. And your head needs to stay still during the swing. Okay? Wow. Immediate improvement, immediate impact. So from having a 20% success rate within the, as the next 5, 10, 15, 20 balls are being hit, I'm up to a 60 to 80% success rate. 6 out of 10 of my balls are going right up the middle, roughly down the middle. 7-iron, 160 yards, 170 yards, consistently getting 200 yards at the driver because you got measurements. I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. It's like just this confidence that I've got. The key thing, I've got a repeatable pattern. I've got consistency. These 5 tips that Angela gave me, each one of them, all went together to take me from a 20% success rate to a 60 to 80% success rate within 1 hour on a driving range. Don't get me wrong, there was still them 2 out of 10 when they went wrong. I'm pretty sure, we were on Aintree Racecourse, I could have had horses and jockeys jumping into slit trenches trying to cover their head. Some of these balls were going actually out over the fence of the dread how bad they were. We were in one of the longer, I was putting some of these golf balls over the fence of the driving range. But 60 to 80% were going right down the middle. The 3 things I learned. Number 1, I had received outstanding coaching, really good information that was delivered to me in a way that I could execute. That was the first thing. You want to improve, you need that stuff. Second thing, I was coachable. I listened to understand. I tried to be humble. I was really eager to listen to what Ange told me. So I was coachable. And thirdly, and this is the key, the rotation that everything I was doing was very familiar to me. So the similarities between how I coach boxing and golf were stark. The backhand, so we talk about this rotation where I'm sort of got my backside out, my back straight. So when I teach a young boxer to do one of their first defensive skill, I teach them to do the duck. I say, stick your backside out, keep your back straight, and that's a duck. There, it's textbook beginner duck, simple, clean, backside out, back straight. And that swing and that rotation, so the head still. When I throw a backhand, drive off the back leg, the head tries to stay still. Yeah. The hip rotation, similar to golf. That hip rotation, so all of the same muscle groups are being engaged. If I do an uppercut, now there's a straight backhand, an uppercut, you actually have to send the lead hip out and up. So it's that. So you're driving, and all of these muscle groups, to me, are very much Similar. Anything you do in life, golf, boxing, crochet, I don't care. Get good coaching, get good advice. Get good advice off people who are trained to do it or who have done it and have learned how to express it and teach it to others. Doing and teaching are two very different things. Be coachable, be humble. Don't be willing to change what your convention was, what you thought might have been the way to do it. And the third thing, technique. The answer is always in the technique. You know, there's all kinds of things we have to do. We have to have heart, we have to have persistence. But the key thing is the reason why I try and get boxers so fit in this gym is so that they can maintain technique throughout the contest. Because as soon as you tire, that's when technique goes. So, technique, technique, technique. I don't know whether you've enjoyed that. Golfers, does any of that make sense? You know, because I am actually sitting there wondering, thinking, could boxers doing golf help them think a bit differently? Could golfers doing boxing, could there be some physical enhancements of how you do rotation and where the feet are? Does all of that make sense? To me it does. I'm thinking of taking some boxers down the driving range. I've not got round to it yet, but just to see how that works. I'd love your thoughts. It was a bit rambly, that. I am sorry if you've nodded off through that, but anyway, look, don't forget, download your book, The Beginner Boxer Toolkit. There's a link here. Let me have your thoughts on this. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video. You take care.